Hello, and welcome to my channel. My name is Jonathan Cohn, and today I have my book review of the book Star Wars The High Republic Edge of Balance Volume 3. This is a manga, from the High Republic series. I have been reviewing all of the High Republic adult, middle grade, and young adult books, and I've been also trying to get into the manga. This is one of several that has come out. I have read all of them so far for the High Republic. We had Edge of Balance 1, which was written by Shimashinya and Justina Ireland. And then we had the second book, which was written by Shimashinya and Daniel Jose Older. And I think Daniel has kind of taken over most of these. He also did the kind of prequel, but not exactly a prequel, the midquel book, Precedent, which he did, which was also, he did the story for it, and it had a different artist. And then they went back for book number 3. So anyway, you read them in that order. You read 1, 2, the midquel, and then you read Precedent, and then you read 3. And so 3 just came out literally this week as I'm recording this. And I'm going to sound like a broken record on this video. If you've watched my reviews of the other volumes for The Edge of Balance, I'm going to have said the same thing about all of them. This is not worth the price point. However, it is still an entertaining story. So let me talk about the positives of this book first. And the positives is this is an entertaining story. Basically, you have this planet of Branchi, which is where a small Jedi temple is, and you're following the characters who are around the Jedi temple. And the Nile are doing Nile stuff, and there's also the Drengir involved. And I don't really want to give too much plot away because that's, it's such a short book. It can be read in literally like 30 to 45 minutes. So the book is about the Jedi trying to prepare against an attack from the Nile, and then something happens with the Drengir. And there is one character in here, one Jedi character named Sav, who is of the same species that Embo is from the Clone Wars TV show. The bounty hunter that has the big hat that he can like frisbee. Embo. Anyway, Sav is the Jedi character, and he is delightful. Oh, I love Sav. He'll go on different he goes on an adventure in this book where he goes to this other planet that's nearby, and he takes a droid and he takes one of the tiny little creatures that's from this planet. That's basically picture like a little owl that has like the ability to carry things, and the owl is carrying like a pitchfork type thing, but it's like a mini one because it's a small creature. And first of all, the owl is also hilarious. But Sav has interactions with his droid where he's like he just randomly blows something up, and the droid's like, "Hey man, why'd you do that?" And the guy he just doesn't give him an answer, and the droid says, "Did you do that because it was important and we needed to do that, or did you do that because you wanted to see something blow up?" And Sav's like, "Why can't it be both?" It's just really funny, some funny interactions with the character of Sav. I really liked him. There's also you have the Wookiee Jedi, and you have the other Jedi, Aislinn Rel, who has a connection to Precedent, both of them. And Aislinn just goes on a journey in this book, and I really connected with his character, and I thought he was handled really well. The overarching story for The Edge of Balance that's told across all of the volumes, I think, is a good story. I think that they are crafting, a very entertaining story between all of these volumes. However, I need to get into my negatives now. This series is not worth the individual price point. Each book is individually priced at like $15. It's $15 per book. And so if you put the 4 together that I've bought, that's $60. And when you put the 5th one, which comes out, or not, it's Edge of Balance Volume 4, but the final, which I believe is the final volume. I may be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's the final volume. But anyway, you put the 5 together, the 5 volumes, the 4 regular volumes and the prequel, midquel volume, that becomes $75 individually for these stories. And it is not worth $75 total. Each one can be read in about 30 to 45 minutes. I read it in about 30-ish minutes, but if you're a slower reader, it might take you like closer to 45. There's no way that this book will take you longer than an hour, even if you're the slowest of readers, because it's so short. It's just, it's a manga, and it's really thin. It's like 130 pages. I mean, a 130-page novel shouldn't take you that long, let alone a 130-page manga. So it's a really, really short story. And because it's not, if this was all color images, like it was a colorized manga, I would feel perhaps kind of like, like a comic. Like the comics I have are about worth the same. They're about $15 to $20, and they're colorized. And I feel that, it's, I don't buy them often because it's still expensive, but I can justify the expense. Here, all the artwork inside is black and white, and it's just not worth $15. Now, what I'm going to recommend to Lucasfilm and to the company that produces this Viz, which they also produce some other comics I own, but what I'm going to recommend is that they bind up all of these comics once the series is completed. That they bind all of them up, not these comics, these manga, bind all 5 volumes up, which will probably be like, we're looking at maybe like a 650 page volume, putting them all together, because they're about 130 pages each. You take all of them together and price it at $25 for the whole collection. And what I think that would do is it makes it reasonable to audiences, because it's $25 for 5 volumes, and I think that would, you put them all together, you're looking at maybe anywhere from like 4 to 6 hours of reading, somewhere around there, and I think that is worth the price of maybe $25. But $15 a piece is ridiculous. It's ridiculous for a 30-minute reading time, and then I'm done. One day I do actually plan to, when the 5th volume comes out, I actually plan to go back and the final volume, or volume 4, which is the final. It's so confusing. When the final one comes out, I plan to go back and reread all the previous ones, so I'll get some fun adventure with it again. But still, I'm just saying, it's hard for me to say because I'm enjoying the books. I really am. I am having a blast. I laughed out loud at some of the moments. I smiled. I was having a delightful time. But I just, I'm not just reviewing the books for the enjoyability. I'm reviewing them for the content itself. And if I was not enjoying the content, I would say the same thing about the price point, because the price point's just. It's like the guy who ran for, I think it was city council or mayor in one city, and his whole shtick was, he said the rent is too, cuss word, high, and it's really funny that I'm like, the price of the book is too darn high. And some people might disagree with me, and they might say, yeah, I can justify spending this. And if you can, good. But I'm thinking about, we're trying to get the mass audience behind this. How do we get the mass audience behind it? And I don't want Lucasfilm to lose money on the project. So obviously I want them to price it at a point that's affordable, but they need to figure out a way to make it affordable, but also profitable. So, anyway, I spent a long time talking about the price point. Going back to something else in the book, there is some questions in some of the other High Republic books that are brought up, and they're answered in some of these volumes. Not like, oh my goodness, I didn't read the manga, so I don't know what's going on. It's not like that, but it's like, ooh, there's that connection. That thing that happened in this other book, that makes sense, and now it's connected to this, and there's all these little connections that I think this book and all the volumes really bring out. There is a villain in this volume, which I don't know if the villain is better or the same as the villain in Precedent. The villains in the first 2 volumes were just forgettable. Like, I don't even remember them that well. I remember the villain in this one because it was the same species as the guy from the Admiral from the Cat and Mouse episode of the Clone Wars. I love that episode. But he was visually really interesting. But as a character, I don't remember too much about him. The character here is kind of sleazy, and he was actually quite fun to follow, the villain, and he connects to some other High Republic stuff that was really fun. So I enjoyed this book. It's not worth the price point, but I really enjoyed it. I'll give it an 8.5 out of 10. None of these books have hit the stellar 9 or above that I give out, but they've all been enjoyable. Like, I think the first 2 were like a 7, and then Precedent I gave like an 8, and I give this one an 8.5. So it's doing well. They're enjoyable books, but maybe wait for the bind up. Unless if there is a digital version of this and it is cheaper, like maybe $5, maybe it's worth the price of 5. But even then, I still think that's a little. So if you've read the Edge of Balance series, let me know your thoughts. If you read this specific one, let me know your thoughts. Do you agree with me about the price point or not? Let me know those thoughts in the comments section down below. Until next time, I'm Jonathan, and thank you for watching.